People thought superhero games were in more trouble than Ubisoft's stock price after what happened to games like Wonder Woman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. But these upcoming superhero games releasing in 2026 and beyond prove the genre is not just alive, we're entering a golden age. What to do, Durag Nation? Move over ball and gun games because the industry is about to be taken over by capes and cowls. 2026 is shaping up to be one of the best years ever to be a superhero fan because we're not just getting a ton of new movies and shows, we've got potentially 7 new superhero games releasing, in addition to new content and DLC for existing superhero titles. I've researched every financial report, developer tweet, and industry insider to destroy the superhero fatigue narrative. I'm skipping the rumors and giving you nothing but confirmed superhero games that are worth putting at the front of your gaming backlog. First, Hulk smash that hype button so YouTube shares this with another superhero fan, and let's get it. We're starting off in 2026 with a game that I'm looking forward to as much as Wolverine, Undefeated Genesis. If you've been begging for a huge open world game that makes you feel like Superman, this is your answer. Undefeated Genesis is the follow-up to the hit indie game Undefeated, which was a small, free-to-play Superman simulator made by 3 college students using Unreal Engine. The game was such a hit, it got released on the PS5, and the 3 students were given the funding to start their own studio called Indie Us Games, where they are dropping Undefeated Genesis this year. This is officially a prequel, and with more resources, the game is able to take place on a massive alien planet with an expanded combat system and story where you will battle powerful monsters while doing awesome anime moves and rescuing civilians. I'm also just looking forward to flying around the beautiful open world for fun, like how I used to in Superman Returns for the Xbox 360. No release date yet as of recording, however the game is on track to release sometime this year for Steam and PS5. But if you want more fighting and less exploring in your superhero games, 2026 is going to make you very happy. Releasing in the first half of the year is the debut AAA game based on Invincible Versus is a brutal action game with a single-player story campaign, as well as planned DLC that recreates some of your favorite moments from the comic books. Invincible is also a 3v3 tag fighting game that does a great job of capturing the comic book visuals despite being in 3D. They brought back the voice cast from the show, including Steven Yeun and J.K. Simmons, so you know the trash talk between Mark and Omni-Man is going to be elite. This is dropping April 30th on PS5, Xbox, and PC. But the fighting game that'll be tough to beat is Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls. This is the surprise PlayStation Studios project coming from Arc System Works, the geniuses behind Dragon Ball FighterZ and Guilty Gear. This is a 4v4 tag team brawler that is bringing that Eastern anime style to our favorite Marvel heroes, which is a formula that worked out well for Marvel rivals. They wrapped up a second closed beta at the end of last year, where Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider and Spider-Man were the featured new playable heroes. It's scheduled to launch sometime in 2026, and I'm expecting Sony to drop a release date for it as soon as their next state of play, which according to leaks is the second week of February. DC also has a lot going on in 2026 besides getting sold to Netflix, and that includes one of the most anticipated games of the year. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight impressed a lot of non-LEGO fans when it was revealed to be a massive open-world action game that recreates the beloved free-flow combat from the Batman Arkham games. There will be hundreds of Easter eggs to uncover for Batman fans with an original story that starts from the beginning of Bruce's career when he trained with the League of Shadows, and includes levels inspired by many years of Batman media, including the Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves Batman franchises. Unlike other LEGO games, this won't have a massive 200-person roster, but will instead feature a smaller collection of playable characters, including Catwoman and Nightwing, so that it can focus more on the world, combat, and story. Legacy of the Dark Knight releases on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and the Nintendo Switch 2 on May 29th. But by far, the most anticipated superhero game of 2026 is Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac. After the success of Spider-Man 2, it's finally Logan's turn in what will be his first solo game since the underrated X-Men Origins Wolverine. Insomniac is making a semi-open world action game closer to God of War than Spider-Man 2 that takes us to some of the most important places from Wolverine's history, like Canada, Madripoor, and Japan, as he's on a quest to recover his memories and unlock the secrets of his dark past. The official gameplay trailer confirmed confirmed the rumors that this would be a mature rated game and revealed iconic characters from X-Men lore like Mystique, Omega Red, and the Sentinels. Based on the Japan and Canada locations, fans should also expect appearances from Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, as well as the Hand. This game will be released in the fall, and Insomniac has promised to share more about Wolverine during the spring, potentially as part of a PlayStation showcase or a dedicated state of play. This next game, though, is equally likely to be Game of the Year, delayed, or canceled. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra is the story-driven World War II epic from Uncharted creator Amy Hennig. We play as a young Captain America and King Azuri, T'Challa's grandfather, in German-occupied Paris. The two iconic heroes will be forced to set aside their differences to stop the threat of Hydra after it becomes a threat to Wakanda and the rest of the world. So far, we've only gotten 2 trailers and multiple delay announcements, as the game was originally scheduled to release at the end of last year before being pushed to early 2026, and now is being pushed back an unknown number of months. There is still no gameplay besides leaked in development footage from 3 years ago, so fans have been worried this will be another canceled superhero game. But since GTA 6 was pushed to the end of the year, their latest delay should get them the chance to release Rise of Hydra during a less crowded time frame, hopefully over the summer. However, the game that has Rise of Hydra beat when it comes to anticipated games fans are worried are canceled is The Wolf Among Us 2. Telltale has had a rough time with their studio nearly shutting down for good before Wolf 2 could even come out. But after being rescued, the team continued work on the game, which we last heard was delayed at least a year as the team upgraded to Unreal Engine 5. I have hope in Wolf 2, mainly because there is now a big demand for more Telltale style games after former developers from the studio released Dispatch, which surprised everyone to become one of the best-selling games of 2025. Those devs from Dispatch also worked on The Wolf Among Us 2, which already had fans excited since it's a sequel to what many consider their best narrative choice game ever. Hopefully this year we get a development update on Wolf Among Us, in addition to the announcement that Dispatch Season 2 is in the works. Not to be outdone, 2027 could also be blessing us with some of the best superhero games of all time. So far, there is the rumored Venom solo game from Insomniac, but the one game we can confirm is the highly anticipated Marvel's Blade. After appearances in Marvel's Midnight Suns and Marvel Rivals, the Daywalker is finally getting his own solo game. The project has been in development the last several years at Arkane Lyon, the studio behind the critically acclaimed Deathloop and Prey. Marvel's Blade will be the first time Arkane Lyon is doing a third-person action game, and based on the early concept art, they're doing an amazing job designing the world. The story finds Blade in Paris attempting to save the city from a vampire invasion. According to leaks, Marvel's Blade will feature some sort of morality system similar to some of their previous games that will shape the world and story around your choices and approach to combat, which works perfectly well for a character like Blade. According to the studio's financial documents, the game is targeting a November 2027 release window. Despite it being published by Xbox, Marvel's Blade is expected to launch day one on the PS5, just like Fable and the new Gears of War game, as part of Xbox's current strategy to get their games on as many platforms as possible. Potentially joining Blade in 2027 is a game that could be the best one on this list so far, Marvel's Iron Man. This game was both leaked and then announced way back in 2022 as the first of 3 Marvel games being developed in a partnership between EA and Disney. The game is being developed by Motive Studios, who got fans very excited about their take on Tony Stark because of how much they cooked with the Dead Space remake. But despite the hype and the game reportedly entering playtesting not long after being revealed, they've only released 1 image for the game total. Even the Black Panther game that EA canceled was able to get a small teaser trailer. The only thing we know from official job postings is that this will be a single-player open-world action RPG built in Unreal Engine 5. The only other official news we've gotten for the Iron Man game was very sad. Because of how much EA needed Battlefield 6 to do well, Motive was one of the studios that was forced to stop working on their projects and dedicate resources to helping with Battlefield. According to Insider Gaming, this may have caused the game to be delayed a year or two. Since initial leaks from Jeff Grubb pointed to 2025, this means there's a decent chance we get our first proper Iron Man trailer in 2026, with a planned release of 2027, now that they don't have to worry about helping with Battlefield 6 anymore. If the Iron Man game does well, I expect EA to start working on the other 2 Marvel games as part of that 3-game deal. Hopefully one of them is for the Hulk. 2 other potentially incredible games targeting that 2027 to 2028 window are surprisingly both games that will allow players to experience what it's like to have the power of Aang from the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. And yes, he totally counts as a superhero. He has powers, fights crime, and protects the innocent. The first game got a surprise gameplay reveal at the end of last year and is called Godslayer. This is an open-world action RPG from Chinese indie studio Pathé Games. The Eastern and steampunk-inspired project follows a hero trying to free the world from godlike beings beings called Celestials. He's called an Elemancer instead of a Bender, but it's literally the same thing. Like an avatar, the hero combines martial arts with the power to manipulate all 4 major elements for some truly inspiring looking combat. It's an indie game, so it's a little rough around the edges, but I think this game has insane potential and is for sure going to be one of my most wanted games in 2027 or 2028. The other Avatar-like game is officially licensed and takes place in the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe. Saber Interactive, who have been on a roll lately with incredible games like Space Marine 2, confirmed in 2024 they are in development on this AAA open-world action RPG based on the beloved Nickelodeon cartoon. But instead of retelling the story of Aang or Korra, this game takes place 1,000 years in the past and allows you to take on the role of a new avatar to the franchise. Before you complain, Saber is developing this in collaboration with Avatar Studios, a company founded by the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So expect this game to be loyal to the source material as they expand it. In addition to being open world, you will progress through the game by mastering the 4 elements and traveling with loyal companions, just like every proper Avatar story. The game is being developed for the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and I can't wait for that first trailer. The next game, however, will probably sell more copies than every game on this list because when people see Spider-Man, they can't help themselves. That's right, Insomniac is looking to maintain its title as the masters of superhero games with the highly anticipated sequel to 2023 Spider-Man 2. Because of the cyber attack and the need to finish Wolverine, post-launch support for Spider-Man 2 was cut short, but I'm expecting some of that DLC story content to pop back up in Marvel's Spider-Man 3. Both job postings and direct statements from the main voice actors Yuri Lowenthal and Najee Jeter, who play both Peter and Miles, confirm Insomniac has already started development on this project, which could be the final game in the series before they potentially pivot to more X-Men related projects, depending on the success of Wolverine. The story of Spider-Man 3 takes place after the events of Spider-Man 2, where Peter took a break to start his own company, Parker Industries, while Miles holds it down as the city's only Spider-Man. But he won't be alone for long, as Insomniac officially introduced Cindy Moon during a post-credit scene. Cindy is a Korean superhero in the comics that goes by Silk after she was bitten by the same spider as Peter. That spider also produced pheromones that make Peter and Cindy want to rip each other's clothes off whenever they're in the same room, but we can definitely assume Insomniac will be skipping that part of the lore for their version of the hero. The main villain of Spider-Man 3 is expected to be Green Goblin, after Norman Osborn finally finished the Goblin Serum at the end of Spider-Man 2, which he is first going to use on Harry to wake him up from his coma. The iconic villain Carnage is also expected to appear in Spider-Man 3 after his DLC was cancelled in order to tie up the story threads from the Flame side quest, which ended with Cletus Cassidy escaping with his own symbiote that his cult stole from Oscorp. The game is also expected to increase the number of playable spider heroes from 2 to 3 now that Cindy Moon has joined the Insomniac universe. Despite the internet trying to convince people Spider-Man 2 is bad, the game still has sold over 16 million copies, and I have no doubt people will be lining up once again for Spider-Man 3, especially with the promise of Carnage, Green Goblin, and the return of Doc Ock, who revealed he was planning something big after refusing to give Norman Osborn Spider-Man's secret identity. This game is expected to launch in 2028 or 2029 for the PlayStation 6. It's only right that we end the list with the superhero franchise that heavily inspired the Insomniac Spider-Man games and revolutionized the genre. Batman Arkham. Arkham City is still considered by many to be the best superhero game ever made and put Rocksteady on the map. Unfortunately, studio founders Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill got Batman fatigue after the release of Arkham Knight and decided they wanted to go in a new direction. First with a puzzle game called Stones, before finally pivoting to an ill-advised live service looter shooter based on Task Force X that looked to take advantage of the popularity of Harley Quinn. Despite a promising story campaign, the game crashed and burned within a few months after the studio was unable to make any substantial DLC content and didn't even have skins ready for release. The founders left the studio before the game launched, dodging responsibility despite being the reason for the game's main issues, according to dozens of developers who worked on the project in a behind-the-scenes article from Bloomberg. But now under new leadership, both at Rocksteady and DC as a whole with James Gunn and Peter Safran, they're going back to their roots. As revealed first by reporter Jason Schreier and supported by job postings, Rocksteady is once again returning to Gotham for their next superhero game. No multiplayer this time, just another single-player open-world adventure starring the Caped Crusader. It's not known whether they will set the game in the future or go with a Batman Beyond game, which they should, or if this will be a soft reboot. Either way, as long as it's Batman, his fans will show up for it. It's up to Rocksteady to stick the landing and repair the studio's reputation. But Batman isn't the only DC hero getting their own game. Marvel is dominating now, but there are up to 7 new DC games that should be on your radar. Click the video on screen to learn more. And a huge shout out to everyone supporting me on Patreon. Join for free so you never miss an update.